biting, piercing, sucking, chewing. In the air, on the ground, in the soil and water. The whole world is filled with their ceaseless busyness. They are the six-legged, segmented creatures, the insects. Long before man appeared, before the mammals evolved, the insects were established on the earth. Now there are some 2,000 million men, all told. There are as many insects to every single square mile. Even where men are not, the insects are. Their towers and castles challenging the desert. Throughout recorded time, insects have left their mark on human living. Carved in the massive stone of Carnac flies the royal bee, symbol of the kings of Lower Egypt. And the winged shapes, bedded in Baltic amber, prove their presence 20 million years before the pharaohs reigned. Down all that unimaginable span of time, the insect orders have multiplied through powers of reproduction beyond belief. In 10 short generations, a single green fly can give birth to young outweighing the population of China. Eggs to larvae, maggots or caterpillars. So the cycle goes through its swiftly changing forms. Larvae to the pupa shell, or the busy spun cocoon. All to produce with fearful speed and spread the crawling, flying, swimming myriads of the adult insect world. With some creatures of this rival world, man has come to terms. The silkworm was a treasured secret of the Orient 4,000 years ago. First, the source of fishing lines and strings for subtle music. Then of cloth, caravanned across the mountains and the steppes to bring to Western hands a prospering industry, to Western eyes a sheen of wonder. Even now we look for flowers and food to the bees and wasps and butterflies. Without the pollen they transfer from plant to plant, there would be little beauty, little to eat but cereals and nuts. But always man has been aware of the overwhelming numbers insects can oppose to him. He knows now that 4/5 of all the animal life there is insect life. He has identified over 1 million different species, and the list grows longer every year. He knows that insects can communicate, that they're conscious of position and surrounding, that their patterns of behavior are complex and elaborate. Even though they're governed by blind instinct, these little creatures can often be his equal. He wonders at their protection, camouflage of shape and size and color, mimicry that can sometimes extend even to sound and smell. He marvels at the glory of wings. But many insects are man's deadly foes. The little tsetse fly carrier of this, sleeping sickness. Until recently, the tsetse denied 4 million square miles of Africa to man. The tiny simulian fly, bearer of a minute round worm which causes this, blindness. The culisine mosquito, striking 20 millions in India alone with this, elephantiasis. And perhaps most horrible of all, the anopheline mosquito, infecting 1/6 of the human race with malaria, a scourge that kills a man or woman somewhere every 10 seconds. To the headquarters of the World Health Organization in Geneva comes information from more than 80 countries on the terrible destruction wrought by insect-borne disease. Such reports and pictures make it clear that insects are the cause of 1/2 of all human deaths, of sickness, deformity, and waste, of strength beyond statistics to reveal. They make it clear that mankind's victory can only be assured by countermeasures on the scale of a world war. Already in large areas of the East, the anopheline mosquito has been halted. But the cost runs into millions. And to let up, even for a few months, may mean malaria back again. In Africa, even to contain the tsetse fly involves what is almost a state of siege. Whole districts must be cordoned off and every movement subjected to control. For here the tsetse has innocent accomplices. The wild beasts that carry the parasite which the fly transfers to its victims. The game are immune, but the cattle are subject to nagana, the equivalent of sleeping sickness. Then there are the destroyers of property to be fought back. Creatures like the termites that can chew a wooden house to shreds. As with health and shelter, so with food. Wherever man grows food, insects are there to profit by his labors. And wherever he stores his crops, yet other insects are waiting for their share. The human race is growing. Yet, as things are now, the insects steal 1/3 of everything. Set a thief to catch a thief. The mantis likes a tasty fly. And in the natural state, the robbers tend to keep each other down. Big thieves eat little thieves and are themselves devoured by reptiles, birds, amphibians. Even some plants are traps for the unwary. But the very act of cultivation upsets nature's balance. Tear down the natural vegetation, drive out the forest animals, clear a space to grow a crop, and you create a Garden of Eden for the insects, an ideal place for pests to breed and feed. Bring water to the desert land, and you bring just what the Anopheline mosquito needs to raise its young and spread malaria. Engage in trade and commerce, and all unwittingly you may transport the crawling curse to men beyond the sea. Herd your sheep and cattle, and you have a mobile feeding ground and ready victims. Locusts, the 8th plague of Egypt, and a greater plague today. Hoppers, these young ones. They can't fly yet. You beat and beat while there's still time, as you have done for 1,000 years. But you know it's hopeless. If 1 in 50 can get through, they'll produce another generation as large as this. You must have help. And international help at that. Communication, organization, destructive power on the scale of war. It's knowledge against the dreadful force of numbers inconceivable.
من حشرات سودري إلى حشرات بارة، جراد نطاط كثير العدد بالسودري أتى من الشمال الشرقي متجها إلى الجنوب الغربي، مساحته 4 في 2 ميل، خط الطول 9 في 29.
Sambo. Pwishen Zegioko?
The first attack is with poisoned bait, a powerful insecticide mixed with bran, spread along the front of the advancing armies. Now's the time to get them. Every day's delay means bigger, stronger hoppers, spreading wider, more difficult to kill. Poison slaughters them in millions. But there are millions more behind. And now they're mustering their real strength, changing from hoppers into fledglings, shedding skins, emerging as adults, with jaws to devastate the crops, with wings to fly. The battle moves from ground to air. The target is a swarm 23 miles long and 5 miles deep, heading east-northeast. The orders are to attack with liquid contact poison.
Airspray to Howe, Fox. Clear for takeoff. Give me a call when on track. Over. Roger, Howe, Fox. Airspray listening out.
Rain clouds ahead. Or are they? They're clouds, all right, but clouds of locusts. There goes the first load. It'll take a week to spray this swarm. And to have to spray from the air at all is to admit failure. And still they get through. Still, we cannot hit them hard enough. We need faster communications, better organization, a bigger army in the field. For they covered the face of the whole earth so that the land was dark. And they did eat every herb of the land and all the fruit of the trees. And there remained not any green thing. Through the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, we now have a chance to wage war on the locust on an even more concerted scale. On the locust and on every other insect pest. A chance to replace the battle of bare hands by modern strategy and materials. True, where labor is plentiful, man can still take a direct hand in destroying his worst foe. But many newer weapons are being brought to bear against the insects. One such is carried in the hold of this plane, landing at an East African airport. For here in Kenya, where so much depends on the coffee crop, the plantations were being viciously attacked by the mealy bug. In these containers came ladybirds of a special kind known to feed upon the bug. They were bred in great numbers, reared in the laboratory, and when mature, collected and released on the coffee plants. They set the ladybirds to eat the mealybugs, and so helped to avert a catastrophe. The trouble is that ladybirds take time to work. That's why man's greatest ally in this endless fight is his study in the field of chemistry. In Shell laboratories, scientists in the field of petrochemicals, chemicals from petroleum, are working constantly toward the evolution of oils or dusts or liquids with ever greater power to kill. Deadly to the insect enemy, harmless to man, his crops and cattle. Study of the enemy himself, his structure and behavior, his vulnerable points. Careful measurement by radioactive tracers of the reaction of his body to insecticides. For it is kill or be killed. Who shall inherit the earth? Shall it be the rival world of the insects, striking us down in pain and death, destroying our possessions, devouring the food we now so sorely need? Shall the fullness of the earth be to the insects or ourselves?